I love the Met Gala. It happened last night, and I love to hate it is actually a more accurate way to describe it. It is a snobby elite fest. Supposed to be a charity event, ostensibly as a charity event, but really it's just Anna Wintour's snobby club. And it has rules like no guest allowed. Like if you're invited, you don't get a +1. Your spouse can't come, just you. Every single one of the 400 guests are handpicked by Anna Wintour and her snobby friends. This year, this is political. I promise you it's political. You might be thinking I don't care about Hollywood celebrities and awards shows and red carpets. Oh, but you'll care about this. This year's theme was in honor of Karl. In honor of Karl is supposed to be Karl Lagerfeld, one of the most famous fashion designers of all times. He was basically the brains and artistic genius behind the Chanel brand that we're all famous for. He's famous for giving a feel to the aesthetic of wealth. I think that's how Vox described it. The aesthetics of wealth, that is due to Karl Lagerfeld. So if we think of like pearls as being wealthy, that's something that was the brainchild of Karl Lagerfeld. But this guy, I got to tell you, I was doing some reading about him in the lead up to this show because I was like, okay, so what are these celebrities going to be dressed as, right? If they're trying to honor Karl, what does that mean? What's going to be on brand for Karl Lagerfeld? That's when I found this phrase, the aesthetics of wealth. But let me tell you, Karl Lagerfeld is like a hilarious human being. A very, very funny. I was laughing reading some of his biographical information. And it seems to be the Met Gala, ironically, as woke as they are, the Met Gala, it's where AOC wore the Tax the Rich dress from a couple years ago that you might remember. Anna Wintour is famous for saying that she'd never invite Donald Trump again. Very woke, very Hollywood, very, very leftist. They seem to be ignoring a very anti-woke element of Karl Lagerfeld that made me laugh out loud when I read this. Karl Lagerfeld was openly fat-phobic. That's right, Karl Lagerfeld criticized fat people in multiple ways. He actually, the reason he criticized fat people is because he was criticized for using very thin models to model his clothes. And in response to that, he said, well, no one wants to see a curvy woman. No one wants to see curvy women. Now, he was talking about fat women, not just non-models. But it made me laugh because of what Lizzo wore to the Met Gala. First of all, a couple days ago, let's back up for a second. A couple days ago, Lizzo on Instagram published a video of herself in which she claimed that Lizzo, you can get a picture in your mind of what Lizzo looks like, morbidly obese. Lizzo claimed that she is the new beauty standard. Take a look at this.
I just finished showering and doing my little routine, and you know what I realized? I am fucking gorgeous. I am the beauty standard. Catch up, bitch.
Oh, Lizzo is the beauty standard. Imagine what Karl Lagerfeld would have said to her about her. So she shows up at the Met Gala tonight dressed like this. Drum roll, please. Let's take a look at Lizzo. Lizzo came dressed at what I can only describe as a gigantic referee. You can see it right there on the screen. A gigantic referee, a black dress, which I suppose is fine in and of itself, draped in pearls, draped in vertical stripes, pearls. She looks like a gigantic referee. I would just die to hear what Karl Lagerfeld had to say about Lizzo because, of course, Lizzo is on this weird political kick where she's trying to, quote unquote, normalize obesity. Not just normalize obesity like don't pick on me because I'm fat or, I'm beautiful inside, it doesn't matter what's on the outside, none of that stuff. She's trying to convince people that objective truth is not objective truth. She's trying to convince people that fat is healthy, that fat is normal, and that if you criticize someone or criticize the idea of being obese because it is so objectively unhealthy, it leads to heart disease and diabetes and untimely death, that you are some kind of white supremacist, I guess. White supremacist, homophobic, fat-phobic bigot. And Lizzo showed up to the Met Gala like this. But this is not all that Karl Lagerfeld said that made me laugh. We are going to get into a few of his political points that, like I said, the Met Gala is simply turning their heads, looking the other way because they don't want to highlight what he thought. So Karl Lagerfeld, in addition to being, quote unquote, fat-phobic, he said nobody wants to see curvy women, which sounds very harsh, I know. Not all of us are as rail thin as supermodels, and I don't think that that's exactly what he meant. I think that he got a lot more specific about what he went. Let me read you a couple of these quotes. This is pretty funny. He said, he was asked, this is from a Vox.com article. He said, when he was asked how he felt about the German women's magazine Brigitte announcing that it would only publish photographs of quote unquote real women instead of models, Lagerfeld said, quote, "You've got fat mothers with their bags of chips sitting in front of the television and saying that thin models are ugly. The world of beautiful clothing is about dreams and illusions," he said. He has also blamed fat people for societal woes. Quote, "The hole in Social Security," he said, "is also due to all the diseases caught by people who are too fat." And he said, when he was asked whether this is just killing me because he's not wrong, right? Think about even here in the United States. He was talking about in Europe, but think about here in the United States. Think about our emergency rooms at hospitals. The reason that we have overcrowding, the reason that we have long wait times is actually because of fat people. It's because of people who are morbidly obese, who make the deliberate decision not to take care of their body, to eat unhealthy, to be gluttons. And the result of that is heart disease. The result of that is diabetes. The result of that is emergencies. And they overpopulate our emergency rooms to the detriment of the rest of society. Now, this is not a commentary on the dignity and value of people who are obese. It is, however, a method of accountability. And Karl Lagerfeld was not afraid of hurting someone's feelings when he said, listen, this is not just a matter of individual beauty standards. This is also something that is, no pun intended, weighing down our society. That pun is mine, not Karl's. But he was asked in 2012 whether he had a responsibility to hire models who don't appear to be unhealthy, underweight. He said, quote, "There are less than 1% of anorexic girls, but there are in France, I don't know, in England, over 30% of girls who are big overweight, and that is much more dangerous and very bad for the health. So I think today with the junk food in front of TV, it's something dangerous for the health of the girl. The models are skinny, but they're not that skinny," et cetera, et cetera. That's pretty based to blame society's woes on fat people. He also condemned, and this is a view that I will say that I share. He also condemned sweatpants. That's right. He said, quote, "Sweatpants are a sign of defeat. You lost control of your life, so you bought some sweatpants." I wore sweatpants in high school and college sometimes. I don't own a pair of sweatpants now because I agree with Karl Lagerfeld on this. An adult woman should not own a pair of sweatpants. I'm even iffy on yoga pants. I do own 1 or 2 pairs. I'm mostly just to sleep in. But sweatpants are a sign of defeat. You lost control of your life, so you bought some sweatpants. Amen to that, Karl. That's a legacy to be proud of. He also condemned open borders, specifically the migrant crisis that Germany experienced after former Chancellor Angela Merkel opened the borders in Germany. Remember that? And that whole migrant crisis? He said, "One cannot, even if there are decades between them, kill millions of Jews so that you can bring millions of their worst enemies in their place." Hi guys, it's Liz Wheeler. Don't forget to watch my show, The Liz Wheeler Show, every night at 7 p.m. on the First TV. You can download the free First TV app, or you can visit thefirsttv.com/Liz and start watching today.